Good morning. This module will discuss on the topics of software testing, and I will be the instructor for this course. My name is Rajib and I have been with this IIT Kharagpur Computer Science Department for last 22 years. I have been working for this period on this specific area. I have been doing research, teaching courses and so on. And as we see in the first lecture of this module, we will see that testing started as a very neglected topic about 40-50 years back. Just because programs have to be tested before release, they were tested, but then that was not considered as necessity, and many programs were also released as it is, but still there were not much problem because the programs those days were extremely small, 100 line, 200 line, 500 line programs and so on. That was in 1960s, 1950s, and then the testing was done as routine, but later as program sizes increased, testing became much more important. But then how did they test? They tested in very novice way. Now we call it as monkey testing, just kept on giving input values, and if the program worked, they said the program has passed successfully. But then later on, not only the program sizes increased to thousands, tens of thousands and millions of line of code, but also the programs were used in very critical areas. For example, a program that is used in a banking application, or let us say a reservation, railway reservation or a airline reservation system. If the program were to suddenly crash, then that will really put tens of thousand people into inconvenience, and therefore, the programs before release are being tested thoroughly, so that the reliability at the end is very high. But then how do the test? The monkey testing does not work. That is not the good way of testing, and the testing techniques have evolved in last 20-30 years in a very remarkable way, starting with very basic notions of unit integration and system testing. Now we have model based testing. So, in this course we first start with looking at the basic issues in testing, and why testing is difficult, what are the main problems that a tester faces, and then we start with looking at unit testing. We look at the black box and white box testing, we look at the various black box testing techniques that are available, starting with equivalence partitioning and the special value testing, including the boundary testing, robustness testing, the combinational testing, decision table, cause effect graph and so on. And then we look at the white box testing, where we look at the coverage based testing techniques, the statement starting with statement coverage, decision coverage, path coverage, MCDC coverage, and issues with all path coverage, data flow coverage and so on. And then we look at the mutation testing, and we look at integration testing. How does one go about doing integration testing? What are the issues involved, what to test and so on. We look at system testing. What are the different aspects to be tested during system testing? How does one design test cases for system testing? And at the end of every session, we will have quizzes and also several examples. One of the main objective of this course will be to really familiarize the participants to come up with test cases to be able to satisfactorily test a given software, either at the black box level or at white box, which is the internal, based on the internal knowledge of the program. We also look at testing object oriented programs. The issues, not only we look at the procedural C program and so on, we look at object oriented programs like Java testing, Java program testing, and we see there that the issues are much more than the procedural programs. We look at the specific models that are used, and we discuss the issues with model based testing. Actually, in object oriented programs, the functions, actually the methods, they tend to be small, and the program implementation relies on object relations. Various types of relations exist among classes, association, inheritance, aggregation, and so on. So, we look at how these issues need to be tested, how integration testing need to be performed on object oriented programs, and also we look at the system testing based on the use case model. And one thing that is very important in the testing area is automation, because testing is a very effort intensive task. Use of tool has become very important. There are several tools available to help with the various testing activities, including measuring how much testing has been done, known as the coverage analysis. So, we will look at several tools, and finally, we will have some case studies to explain the issues in testing large software. Thank you.